Hold on to your hats, folks, because we're diving headfirst into a legal blunder of epic proportions. Remember Donald Trump? Well, his legal team just made a mistake so big it's going to cost someone a cool $2 billion. That's billion, with a B. You know, like a really, really big number. This whole debacle revolves around a Supreme Court decision that went against Trump. Apparently, his administration messed up big time when it came to foreign aid. They froze billions of dollars meant for important projects around the world. And guess what? The Supreme Court wasn't too happy about it. Now you might be thinking, John, why should I care about boring legal stuff? Well, my friend, this isn't just any legal mumbo-jumbo. This case could have huge implications for the power of the presidency. Plus, it involves a whole lot of money that could have helped a lot of people. So, buckle up, Buttercup, because things are about to get interesting. Picture this. You're a lawyer arguing a case in front of the highest court in the land. The pressure is on, the stakes are high. And then, you realize you've made a colossal mistake. That's precisely what happened to one of Trump's lawyers, Sarah Harris. Talk about a bad day at the office. So what exactly did she do? Well, remember those frozen funds we talked about? The case went through a bunch of legal hoops, with different courts weighing in. And somewhere along the way, Harris and her team appealed the wrong court order. It's like accidentally taking a left turn when you were supposed to go right. Only in this case, the wrong turn could cost $2 billion. Now I'm no legal eagle, but even I know that appealing the wrong order is a pretty rookie mistake. It's like forgetting to put on pants before leaving the house. Embarrassing, to say the least. And in this case, it had some pretty serious consequences. Let's take a step back and talk about what this case is really about. See, there's this government agency called USAID, which stands for United States Agency for International Development. They're like the good guys who go around the world helping people in need. They build schools, provide medical supplies, and generally try to make the world a better place. But here's the thing. Trump decided to freeze billions of dollars that Congress had already approved for USAID. He said it was about programmatic efficiencies, but critics argue he just didn't like where the money was going. Either way, USAID couldn't access the funds, which meant a lot of important projects were put on hold. This case is important because it raises questions about the balance of power between the president and Congress. Can a president just unilaterally decide to ignore what Congress has already approved? That's a pretty big deal, folks. And the Supreme Court's decision could have lasting implications for how our government works. Okay, so we've got a lawyer making a major boo-boo frozen funds and a power struggle between the president and Congress. But how did all of this lead to a $2 billion price tag? Well, buckle up because it's about to get technical. Remember how Trump's lawyer appealed the wrong court order? Well, that little mistake meant the Supreme Court only looked at a small part of the case. They didn't even get into the whole debate about whether Trump had the authority to freeze the funds in the first place. Instead, they focused on the fact that a lower court had already ordered the Trump administration to release the money. And since the administration hadn't appealed that specific order, thanks to the lawyer's blunder, the Supreme Court said, well, looks like you have to pay up. And just like that, a $2 billion bill landed squarely in the lap of the Trump administration. All because someone forgot to check their work. Ouch. Section 5. Trouble for Trump, the potential fallout from the legal flub. Now you might be wondering what this whole mess means for Trump himself. Well, it's not a good look, that's for sure. Having your legal team make such a high-profile mistake is never a good thing, especially when it involves billions of dollars. It's possible that Trump could face some legal repercussions, though it's hard to say for sure at this point. There might be investigations into how this whole thing happened and whether anyone broke any laws. And even if there are no legal consequences, the political fallout could be significant. This case feeds into the narrative that Trump and his administration are incompetent and reckless. It reinforces the image of a president who doesn't understand or respect the rule of law, and that's not exactly a winning message, even for someone like Trump. Section 6. The bigger picture. What this case means for presidential power. This case isn't just about Trump though, it has much broader implications for the presidency itself. As we mentioned earlier, it raises questions about the limits of presidential power. Can a president really just ignore Congress and do whatever they want? The Supreme Court didn't fully answer that question in this case thanks to the lawyer's blunder. But their decision does suggest that there are limits to what a president can do. They can't just unilaterally decide to withhold funds that Congress has already appropriated. This is a big deal, folks. It's a reminder that we have a system of checks and balances in this country for a reason. No one person, not even the president, is above the law, and that's something worth celebrating. Section 7. Beyond the headlines, the human cost of frozen aid. It's easy to get caught up in the legal and political drama of this case, but it's important to remember that there are real people affected by all of this. Those frozen funds weren't just abstract numbers on a spreadsheet. They represented vital resources for people in need around the world. Think about it: schools that couldn't be built, medical supplies that never arrived, and countless other projects that were put on hold because of this legal battle. Real people, many of them living in poverty, were denied essential services because of a political power struggle. That's the real tragedy of this whole situation. It's a reminder that behind every headline, there are human stories that often get lost in the shuffle. And in this case, those stories are heartbreaking. Section 8. What's next? The saga continues in the lower courts, so what happens now? Well, the case isn't over yet. Remember how the Supreme Court only looked at a small part of it because of the lawyer's mistake? Well, now it goes back to the lower courts to hash out the rest of the issues. This means we're likely in for another long and drawn-out legal battle. There will be more arguments, more rulings, and probably a lot more head-scratching moments. And who knows how long it will take to finally resolve everything. But one thing's for sure: this case is far from over. It will continue to make headlines and spark debate for months, if not years to come. And it will serve as a constant reminder of the importance of paying attention to detail, especially when billions of dollars are at stake. Section 9. The final word. A $2 billion lesson in checking your work. So, there you have it, folks. A tale of legal blunders, frozen funds, and a $2 billion mistake. It's a story about the limits of presidential power, the human cost of political battles, and the importance of always checking your work. This case is a cautionary tale for us all, a reminder that even the smallest mistake can have massive consequences. It's a lesson in accountability, transparency, and the importance of upholding the rule of law, and it's a story that will continue to unfold for months and years to come. So the next time you're tempted to cut corners or skip a step, think of Trump's $2 billion legal blunder. It might just save you a whole lot of trouble and money in the long run.